Hi, I'm David McDowall. I'm President and Chief Operating Officer at BrewDog. Really pleased to be part of the event today and really pleased to tell you all a little bit about the story of our brand and our business. We were founded back in 2007 by two men and a dog. And from there, we have grown to a team of 2,000 incredible people, exporting beer to 65 different countries, with 4 world-class breweries around the globe and 105 of our own bars. And recently, we were ranked higher than Carlsberg in a report of the most valuable beer brands on the planet. And this was a really, really surreal moment for us as a business, thinking that the first time we ever brewed beer was in Martin, our co-founder's mum's garage back in 2007. And here we are, the only craft brand, the only independent brand, and the only UK brand on the list of the most valuable beer brands on the planet. An incredible recognition for all of the hard work that our amazing team have put in over the years. Our mission on day one was to make other people as passionate about great beer as we are, and that absolutely remains the case now. And we put that mission at the center of every decision that we make day to day when we're trying to build this business. Along the way, we get things right and we get things wrong, but our true north is our mission, and that is our real sense of purpose. I use this slide with the team quite a lot, and back in a few years ago, I watched an awesome HBO documentary, I think it was, about Lego. And it gave a really interesting insight into that business and how it operates and how it works. And it was really, really fascinating. As I watched the video and I watched people working at various parts of the offices in the Lego HQ, I noticed that on every desk, there was a little pot of Lego. And while people were making customer calls or dealing with team issues or dealing with queries or working in the various teams and the various functions in their business, they were all fiddling and playing with little bits of colored Lego. And it was a really, really crucial thing for them in that business because it rooted them every day in everything that they're doing and what was important. Their jobs and livelihoods in the business and the brand would not exist if it wasn't for these little pieces of plastic that they played with as they went through their day. So it was a real clear reminder. And for us, we live or die by what's in people's beer glasses. So we fight every day for the quality of what goes into people's cans, glasses, bottles, and kegs to be at the highest level that we possibly can make it. And that is our real sense of purpose. And that liquid is the reason that this business exists day in and day out. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our crowdfunding program. And back in 2008, 2009, we were trying to raise some funds for the next stage of expansion, and the business was doing reasonably well, but it was very, very early days. And we were struggling to raise funds from traditional lenders. It was post-banking crisis. And at that point, it wasn't a particularly attractive view for a traditional bank to loan some money to a couple of guys from the northeast of Scotland, brewing beer that everybody probably thought was too bitter, and with a very young and embryonic business. So we were early adopters of crowdfunding. I think sometimes people say that great innovation comes from necessity, and I think this was a great example of that. Equity for Punks was born to try and raise the next round of funds that we needed for our next round of growth. And 12 years later, we now have raised over 90 million of capital from 200,000 investors, crowdfunded investors all around the globe. And something really, really interesting happened along the way. We realized that what we thought was a crowdfunding exercise or a fundraising exercise was actually a community building exercise. And we have built this phenomenal community of people around the globe who are our biggest fans, our harshest critics, our mystery guests, our ambassadors day in and day out. And as we strive to build the best business that we can and continue to grow our brand, we really, really see that community of people as a clear point of difference. And in fact, our secret weapon against our big beer competitors. To give you all a flavor of the business and ethos and culture, and I thought an interesting case study in that was our response to the COVID crisis over the last 12 to 18 months or so. And we had a really precarious position to face into. So back in March last year, we looked as though we were losing around about 70% of our revenue overnight. We were unfortunately having to close almost all of our 105 bars around the world. International markets were starting to close down. And we had to stand in front of our team and let them know in a really quite emotional session that we weren't sure if the business was going to survive because of those things. And we didn't know if we had a clear pathway to protecting their jobs and their livelihoods. So it was a very, very precarious position. And like many businesses all around the world, we were in panic mode. We decided that we needed to do a few things, primarily get into action mode, and the business plan overnight changed. The old business plan went in the bin, and we decided to focus on two things. First of all, to ensure the business survived. And secondly, by doing that, to protect the livelihoods of the 2,000 people who'd helped us build it in the first place. And one thing that was really clear to us was that we needed to continue to raise awareness of us and what we were doing in order to do what we do and sell beer. But at that time, people didn't want to hear marketing and advertising messages from a beer brand, as we were right in the midst of a real crisis. And also, we fundamentally believe that business can and should be a force for good. And our team were challenging us to make sure that we lived true to that ethos in the midst of the crisis that we all face. So we tried to put the marketing book away and focus our time and energy on having some really positive impact. And these are some initiatives that we put in place. Probably the most well-known one is that we repurposed our distillery in the northeast of Scotland, and we turned it into a very makeshift, ramshackle at the time, hand sanitizer production facility. I remember us all sitting one night looking at the WHO guidelines on Google on how to make hand sanitizer. It was that rough and ready. But by the end of 3 or 4 months down the line, we had made and donated over 500,000 bottles of hand sanitizer to the NHS, to care workers and to key workers. And as a result of that, hopefully helped drive some positive impact from our actions, and hopefully drove some real goodwill towards the brand and the business at the same time. So all of these initiatives were driven around us having as much positive impact as we possibly could. Another one that's really important that happened during the crisis was in the midst of all of the kind of shenanigans that were going on around Dominic Cummings' trip to Barnard Castle. There was quite rightly quite a dark mood in the country at that time, and we wanted to introduce a little bit of irreverence around that. We tweeted that the person that sent the infamous civil service tweet that got deleted could eat and drink in BrewDog bars for free for the rest of their life, and it went viral. And after that, we decided to amplify that by creating a social competition to choose a name for a new beer that we would make to commemorate the hideous event. And people chose Barnard Castle IPA, which of course was a hazy IPA. The next day, so this is within 48 hours, we put that on sale in our website on pre-sale before we brewed the beer, incidentally. And it became our top selling online beer of the year almost instantly. At one point, we were selling 100 cases a minute of that beer in our online shop. And I think it's a great example of, with the right verve and positivity and predication towards action, the team turned a social tweet into a really great commercial opportunity within a couple of days. This happened in the last quarter of last year as well. I think it's an interesting insight into the ethos and culture of how we decide about what we do. And we often say that when others zig, we zag, and this was a good example of that. So Aldi had created a copy of our top selling beer. 60% of our business is a beer called Punk IPA, and they've created a copy, as they do with many brands, called Anti-Establishment IPA. Our initial response was that we needed to get the lawyers involved and try and get this thing off the shelf. We've been trying to build a commercial relationship with Aldi for quite some time, so it felt as though that wasn't quite the right thing to do, and that we could perhaps turn this into an opportunity. So we created a copy of the copy called Aldi IPA, and Aldi did a really great job of getting into the spirit of this, and we had some great social back and forth between the two brands. But we actually went as far as making that beer and putting it into Aldi stores in the UK and Germany, and we've sold over 500,000 cans of that beer now. So again, a piece of irreverent social response to something that was happening to us at the time. The team were awesome in turning that into a great commercial opportunity. As I said, we really believe that business can be a force for good, and our fundamental central tenet of that at the moment, a central pillar of that, is that everything we do has a core focus on us building as sustainable a business as we possibly can. We're the world's first carbon negative brewery, as you can see in our very low-key advertising campaign that went out last year. And this Forbes article that wrote about our sustainability approach. And we are placing some really big bets on how we can build as sustainable a business as we possibly can. At the moment, we're just about a third of the way through a project to invest £20 million in an anaerobic digestion plant at our brewery up in the northeast of Scotland, which will take our wastewater and turn it into clean water, renewable energy, and food-grade CO2 to be made in the beer production process. So it really is our belief that by building a sustainable brand, we'll build a better brand and we'll connect more with consumers. I fundamentally believe that in most categories in the years ahead, the most sustainable businesses will be the most well-known and the most respected and most valuable ones. So this focus on our impact on the climate crisis is central to everything that we're doing as a business right now. And this is the biggest incarnation of that. So as part of what we are doing at the moment, we're taking twice as much carbon out of the air as we emit via a process of supporting a number of high caliber vetted carbon sequestration projects. We decided that as we went through that, we wanted to take that into our own hands. So we bought this chunk of land in the Scottish Highlands, 9,000 acres. And over the next couple of years, we will plant 2.5 to 3 million trees in this space. For every case of beer that's bought in a supermarket at the moment from BrewDog, then we plant a tree in the BrewDog forest. So doing that at the same time as aggressively reducing those emissions in the first place is at the heart of our sustainability plan. And all of the good things that we've done during the last 12 months or so have had a really positive impact on the brand. Our brand approach, our BrewDog Tomorrow sustainability agenda, the things that we did with hand sanitizer, our COVID-19 responses, fun things like Aldi IPA and Werner Castle eye test have all built significant brand equity in our business. And in a recent YouGov survey, members of the public said they were 4 times more likely to buy BrewDog than Heineken. And we can only do it with an incredibly engaged and passionate team. And these are the 5 pillars of the culture in BrewDog and how our framework for building the business in a truly, truly BrewDog way. As with any business that's growing at pace, then culture is an evolutionary thing. And we're really proud of the team in BrewDog in 2021 as they try and help us build the best business that we possibly can. Some of the things that we've done over the years to help with that, as well as being a real living wage employer for our teams, is some of the other things we've done is the Unicorn Fund. So in that program, we take 10% of our profit every year and we share it evenly and fairly across everyone in our team. So no hierarchy, the same for a bartender as a director of the business. And through that program, we've shared millions of pounds with our teams over the last few years. and our teams get to think and act and behave like a business owner because of the clear share of the profit of the business that they're able to benefit from. Another thing that we're proud of culturally is the BrewDog salary cap, which means that so much for career development, more than any training course, because it's a real commitment to us growing the next generation of BrewDog leaders from within our ranks. No new member of our team can join us on a salary of more than 7 times that of our lowest paid full-time employee. And that means that we have a steadfast commitment to building the next leaders in our business from within, and creating great opportunity for the extremely talented people that are working within the BrewDog team. And a fun one that we like to talk about is paternity leave. So we're the first company in the world to introduce this, and dogs are at the heart of the culture. Right there in the name, the 2 founders, well, there was 3 founders effectively, James, Martin and Bracken, the dog. So we know that welcoming a new dog to the family is a really big commitment. So for anyone that joins the BrewDog team and gets a new dog, we give them a week off on paternity leave. And the only caveat to that is that they have to send us loads of cute pictures of the new pup. So it's been a really crazy journey so far. We really truly believe that we're only just getting started. This is a page from our induction booklet actually, which shows that, where we talk about the fact that we feel like we're a bit of a glitch in the matrix at the moment. But the brands that really fight hard to keep their focus and culture as they grow up end up becoming iconic and enduring global businesses. And we're big fans of some of the businesses on that list, like Patagonia, Google and Southwest Airlines. And we hope in some small way we can replicate a small part of that path for BrewDog as well, as we continue to try and build the best possible beer business that we can, and we continue to have as much positive impact as we can. So thanks for listening. That's a quick fire tour around life on Planet BrewDog, and it's been fantastic to be part of the event today. Thank you.